In a small Massachusetts town, a boy wears bandages and dark glasses to conceal his face. He has a strange disease that causes people to die unexpectedly upon seeing his face. That's why looks can kill today. This is the story of a teenager named Max Richardson, who goes to therapy for a strange birth problem and is able to kill those who see him. His parents realized that their son was strange because at birth, the first to die were the doctors who attended the delivery. But to lead a more peaceful life, the whole family moves to a small town in Massachusetts called Black, where little Max can go unnoticed. To stop the unexplained deaths, Max covers his face with bandages, dark glasses, and a cap, although this makes him a rather shy boy. During a visit to the doctor, he meets a girl named Alex who suffers from a strange heart disease. But for now, it doesn't matter, and we'll talk about her again in a while. A little later, Dan, who is Max's best friend, and his parents try to get him on some dates because it's Valentine's night. For the bandaged boy who is homebound and friendless, this is very difficult. Dan organizes some blind dates with a girl named Erica, but everything goes very wrong because she thought her date would be with Dan, and he leaves her alone with Max. Meanwhile, at the same restaurant are Valencia and Greg, who is like the town bully, having a discussion, and she runs out of the place. But Greg bothers Max about his bandages, and everything gets out of control when the restaurant manager has to intervene in the middle of the fight. The failed date makes Max very sad, and he goes to a bridge to commit suicide. But that's exactly when Alex shows up again, because she tries to convince him not to do it, and ends up telling him that if he jumps, she will too. Afterward, they visit Esther at a nursing home Alex often goes to, a novelist with over 30 stories written and who is working on her most important book. It's not just an autobiography, but it tells what life is like for someone with Alzheimer's. To make sure Max doesn't hurt himself, Alex accompanies him home and he asks her out on a date the next day, but she turns him down. At night, Max tells his friend Dan everything that happened, and he convinces him to look for her again at the same bridge and persuade her to take a walk together. The following day, he returns to the same spot and encounters Alex, and they decide to go together to a supermarket to buy a lot of gummies to fill a bathtub. And they talk about Max's strange condition, who apparently has such an attractive face that it can kill everyone who sees it. Still, Alex isn't too surprised, as everyone in town knows about this strange condition. There, she also tells him how many times she has been close to dying, because her heart is allergic to endorphins and swells with every emotion she has, so she can't have many emotions. And to control it, she carries with her a device that is capable of measuring her heart rate and the size of her heart. Alex takes Max to a somewhat strange cinema where they haven't premiered new movies for 5 years, but they buy wine to entertain themselves. After the movie, they end up in Max's room, where there is a romantic scene where she manages to take off his dark glasses and sees his eyes. But still nothing happens to her. But everything is interrupted when the parents arrive with a rather odd surprise. It's about a Korean exchange student named Ju Shin, whose parents have sent her to the United States, but she doesn't want to be there. Welcome to your new home, Oh Juan Rio John Shan Lang Yu. The next day, Max and Alex return to the nursing home to visit Esther. And come on, Rosemary, a woman turning 82 years old, is sitting alone at a table waiting for her son, who promised to come with a cake to celebrate her birthday. And even though she's been waiting for a while, everything indicates that this birthday will be as lonely as all the others. Throughout this conversation, they discover the importance of friendship. Despite being isolated, they have formed a tight-knit family. But all of this, for now, doesn't matter much. What matters is that when Max comes home, he finds a surprise, because his mother tells him he must take Yushin camping, along with Alex and his new date. Everything goes well until Alex cuts his hand with a branch he finds in the forest. And to close the wound, Max takes off a piece of his bandages to stop the bleeding. Alex realizes he can now see a small part of his face, yet nothing happened to him. During the night, the boys light a bonfire, and Max tells the story of his childhood and how his first kiss happened. It was during the first grade, and the girl promised not to look at Dan's face while they were kissing. But out of curiosity, she opened her eyes to see the boy she was kissing. And as expected, the girl died as soon as she could see what was hidden under the bandages. Meanwhile, Alex can feel his heart beating faster for Max. When she asks him for a kiss, to maintain control, she blindfolds herself to avoid seeing him. In the end, she ends up giving him a kiss on the cheek. And when they return home, Max's mother asks them to take out the Christmas tree, but it ends up being set on fire because of Yusheng. Both of them burn their hands and end up hospitalized. The nurse tells them that the cream will be enough for the burns. But there they run into Alex, who had told Max that he couldn't accompany him because he had to stay at his house, helping his mother with some things. To distract his mother, Alex pretends that Max is just a co-worker at the nursing home, but they are not friends because they work on opposite shifts. And faced with this strange attitude, Max tells his parents his feelings while they go to do some shopping at the supermarket. And he ends up telling him that communication is the most important thing, and it would be best to talk to her soon. Then they meet again on the bridge from where Max had tried to jump. And Alex explains to him that her mother doesn't let her have friends because she thinks it's too dangerous, and so many emotions could end up affecting her heart. He doesn't grasp it as he thinks each medication suffices to maintain control. But Alex's mother has developed an anxiety disorder that keeps her alert to any change in her daughter's feelings. Later, they decide to revisit Esther at the nursing home, and they find out that Rosemary is very sick while being kept alive artificially by the medical equipment she is connected to. And right there is when Alex starts to bleed from his nose and leaves the room so as not to worry Max. But he catches up with her on the stairs and they argue about euthanasia and how Max should help Rosemary to rest. At first, our protagonist refuses to do it because he thinks his face is a curse and everyone ends up dying. But Alex convinces him that he should help Rosemary to rest. He returns to the room and they ask him if he wants to help her sleep, and she smiles. Max removes the bandages, and upon seeing his face, Rosemary dies instantly. After this, Alex disappears and doesn't answer Max's messages. He's kind of sad, not knowing what happened to her, but Dan manages to invite her to the spring dance on behalf of his friend, and she says yes. When they meet at Alex's house, they tell her the truth about her disappearance. And it's because her heart has grown and they need to increase her dosage. But so that Max doesn't feel guilty, she tells him that she doesn't want him to leave because she's afraid of being alone. In the bubble where he always lived, Max feels a bit guilty about her health. Even though they agree to go to the dance and she shows up at his house, I don't know why, dressed as a maid and he with a dog mask. During the dance, Alex lets his feelings take over and they both end up hugging. But this accelerates Alex's heart too much, and she has to go to the bathroom because her nose is bleeding again. Meanwhile, Greg, the bully who used to bother Max for his face, ends up taking off his mask. And Valencia, Dan's girlfriend, manages to see his face, so she ends up dying in a few seconds. Then the police arrive and our protagonist has to go to prison. Before reaching the patrol car, he notices an emergency ambulance at Alex's location. After getting out of jail, he goes straight to see her, and he realizes that her heart is much worse and she may not have much time left to live. But when he asks her about her medication, he realizes that it's just heartburn medicine. And he finds out that Alex is no longer taking her medication because she wants to end the suffering from her illness. She tries to explain to him that since her childhood, she has been condemned to die at any moment. And that way of living taught her to have no purposes and to be indifferent to everything. But that changed when she met Max because she discovered her feelings when she met him. She knows that Max's condition does have a purpose and she asks him to help her die, but he doesn't want to do it because he knows he will feel remorse if she dies after seeing him. Upon arriving at his house, Max begins to hurt his face because he believes it's a curse to have such an attractive face that it can kill people. But his parents end up stopping him. Meanwhile, Alex tries to call him without getting any response, and this is because Max doesn't feel ready to let her go. But Dan and Max meet at the school, where there is a picture of Valencia to say a final goodbye. His friends suggest that the best thing is for them to be together in the hospital when she passes away. He visits her at the hospital and realizes her condition has significantly worsened since his last visit. Meanwhile, she tells him that she is very tired trying to stay alive in a hospital bed. After all, he understood her suffering and that she will be better off when she is free from her pain. And he asks her to close her eyes to show her his face. But after removing her bandages, she opens her eyes and they share a final kiss. She understands that Dan's face is not a disgrace and tells him that his face looks a lot like who he really is. A few days later, Alex dies. Max goes back to the bridge where she saved him and resolves to return to therapy to cope with his loss. But he realizes that he receives many letters from everywhere because the Valencia case became news. And although some wrote to him out of curiosity about his face, others wanted Dan to help them, as he did with Alex. After all the suffering in his life, he understood that his face has a purpose, and it is to help end people's pain. Little by little, he begins to take up his life again and frequently goes to the nursing home to visit Esther. She doesn't remember well what happened with Alex and always asks about her. Meanwhile, Dan has to tell her that she is busy with a lawsuit against Daniel Steele for plagiarism, which makes Esther feel very good. In the end, Alex taught her that the real antidote to death is unconditional love. Those who love Max boundlessly know that his attractiveness lies beyond his appearance. That's why he decided to take off the bandages on some occasions, without his loved ones staring at his face, and that way everyone stays safe. Max's parents now have a more stable and close relationship. His life is steadily improving due to therapy and his memories of Alex. So he has decided that he will try to live without the bandages on his face. This was Killer Looks. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the upcoming videos.